What is this? What is it now? And now? It's not a trick question. Of course, it's a pen. It's a pen no matter which way you look at it. It's still a pen. That's the way the world works with objects, isn't it? You can turn them around, but they still stay the same thing. Freud used the term object constancy for describing this. That things are what they are, no matter which way you look at them. It's the way the world works. And we learn fairly early on that that's the way the world works, that things are what they are, no matter which way we look at them. Wouldn't the world be a crazy place if things changed when you turned them around and became something else? Imagine if your dog became a cat when you turned it upside down. Crazy. We spend our early years as young children growing in our certainty about the way the world works by learning object constancy, that that's the way things are, and becoming sure that objects are objects even when we can only see a tiny part of them. If we can see only a tiny part of this, we can still recognise that as a pen. Even young children become quite good at completing the object to see the whole of it. Even a very young child soon learns that if they see mum's elbow in the doorway or the side of her body, the rest of mum is attached, and very shortly they're going to be picked up and get cuddles and food. In fact, some people become so good at recognising objects that they can identify an object and see it from different angles without even turning the object or their body. It's like they can send their imagination out to look at the object the other way around. They can shift their mind's eye, if you like, to imagine how the pen would look end on, or from above, or underneath. And this can become a wonderful ability to view three-dimensionally, this shift in perception. That's fine for young children, but as they grow and get to school age, then they encounter the world of letters and words and numbers. You've gone from a three-dimensional world to something that's two-dimensional. What happens when you take a word and do what we did with the pen? If you're confused about that word, you don't recognise it, your brain might naturally want to examine it from different angles. Let's see. Oh dear, it's turned it into a completely different word. That's confusing. It's easy to see from this example why some people with dyslexia have problems remembering which letter is a B and which one's a D. They muddle up P and Q, 6 and 9. And it makes music reading very hard with all those notes that mean a different thing. That's why you can have a child in the school who starts school very confident and seemingly very able to learn, and after a few months, a year or so, they start to fall behind the others. They're not keeping up. They wonder why the person next to them can understand those squiggles on the page and remember the order that letters go in when they're doing their spelling. And it's all a mystery to them. Their brain just doesn't seem to see them that way. This can lead to a loss of confidence and a lack of certainty, because the way that they've grown up knowing that the world works doesn't work for letters and numbers. And before long, the child's self-esteem can be affected. But three-dimensional thinking is actually a real advantage in many, many ways. That's why people with dyslexia and this way of thinking often seek careers in such avenues as art, mechanics, sport, engineering, dance, anything where a three-dimensional way of thinking is an advantage. We have the advantage on one hand of three-dimensional thinking, but then we have the need to deal with two-dimensional symbols. It's as if we need an off switch for that way of thinking, something that stops our visual perception from moving in a three-dimensional way when we need it to. And then when we need it for the world of creative and imaginative thought, we can turn it back on again. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Well, that's exactly what a Davis program does for people. We teach people a focusing tool, a visualization technique, to switch off that change in visual perception. And this allows the person to focus accurately on what is in front of them, what is on the page, and to deal with the confusion that has been caused, and to get certainty that those letters and numbers and words are exactly what they're seeing on the page. They're seeing them accurately. So it takes away the anxiety that happens when you're faced with words. The Davis program works with that three-dimensional way of thinking. It works with the person's natural ability. It's a hands-on, kinesthetic approach. Once a person can focus and perceive accurately, they continue through the program, learning to relax and be ready to deal with particular words and symbols that confuse them. Dyslexia is often seen as a particular difficulty with reading and writing, but there's a lot more to it than that. There are a lot of different aspects of dyslexia, and it affects people in different ways. We've looked at just one of those aspects in this video today as we've discussed the focusing technique. The Davis program is the starting point of an amazing journey of discovery.